17 guest artists for that. So our group grew, right? Our every other month, get-togethers, etc. And so that's where Design Studio Press started. And then it's just gotten busier and busier and busier. We now have 28 books in print. We have 8 more going to press this year. We have 6 or 7 already scheduled for next year. This week, in fact, we have a visual storytelling, storyboarding book from an artist from DreamWorks. We have an Inside DreamWorks personal art book that they're putting together. That's my new press. I'm publishing Sid Mead's next book. Should be here in the fall. What else are we doing? We're doing 2 other. We have Battle Mode 2, which is again kind of a repeat of Concept Design 1. The 6 guys that worked together did their own book. So seems to be quite busy. And I have help on that side, obviously. I couldn't do it all. So I brought some book stuff today, which is the bulk of the eye candy. So these are pages. So what you're going to see is everything's a 2-page spread. I just pulled them out of a PDF directly out of Start Your Engines and Lift Off, which were my first 2 books that have only my own artwork. And also Alien Race, which I'll get into in a minute. And the last book I'm showing is a preview of Drive, which is my next book, which I hope to be finished at the end of June and have it here for Thanksgiving. But we'll see. So these are all marker sketches, right, for Field Commander. So it's a mix of stuff. These are some just practice Ghost Pirate ships because you've got to be ready for that job for Ghost Pirate ships. These are chalk, pencil, gouache. These are marker and gouache, no pencil. Just straight up marker sketch first, a little gouache. The black and white. These are marker and pen, like high-tech pen. This is a video game car interior for 502. I did this with a very good friend of mine now, and I didn't know him at the time, but I learned we got along quite well on this job. And he was the creative director originally at Angel Studios, which was purchased by Rockstar Games, and so I worked for Stephen Olds, who's been working for Rockstar until just this last year. But an amazing, he's like Sid's protege, and then I was art directed by him, and so very talented guy. Although unfortunately no work in print yet, but I'm working on that from him. These are new for Starter Engines, the reprint. So this is cars that I did for little ballpoint pen sketches. I think I have these today, the originals. So I put a table up here, and when we're done, I have 2 original sketchbooks that I've brought, so you can see some stuff that looks better than on screen. So these are ballpoint pen sketches, and this was done for a kids game called Swipe Out Battle Racing, and the game didn't go anywhere. It was a total failure. Super fun to play though. But the problem was not in the design, and a lot of times you don't have control. Obviously, there's very little control actually. But there's some of the finished models. Again, it was dark. So what happened was it was a kids game, 8 to 10-year-old kids, and that's why the cars are like super character style, right? We did actually a couple of focus groups, and we learned about and we dialed in the proportions. They're actually quite sensitive. Kids are very sensitive to the proportions. And what looks like a car that's for, an 8-year-old, 6-year-old brother versus them, right, is very different, actually, proportionally. And even learn the difference between does it matter if it's color or not, or is it shape that matters. So there's some good, decent research put into this. Albeit you look at them and you say, oh no, they're laughable, tiny caricature cars. But for an 8-year-old boy, it's a bit more sophisticated. First appear. And so the reason it failed was it had a card reader, and you had all these pictures of the weapons and stuff. But they were all funny weapons. They were like pigeon mortar, right? The pigeon mortar, you're in the car behind, you fire your pigeon mortar, it goes up and it cracks pigeon crap all over the and you can't see, right? And you drive off the road. So they're all really funny, at least fun and funny weapons like that. The problem was that all the weapons you loaded up the starting line on a USB reader, right? That you plug into your computer, because it's only an online game, and it was sort of really low-end model. It didn't look like that. Those are more the card illustrations when you pick what car you want to race. And the problem was the reader wasn't very good, sort of skid, it didn't really work. And then to get other cars and weapons, you had to go back to the store in order to buy the card. right? And so there was a key link and a key problem in the business model. It meant mom or dad had to drive, right, Johnny back to the store to buy another card set to try and get the other weapon or the car. So this was a little bit before sort of microtransaction things were happening online. So it had to be done with microtransactions, right, for 10 cents or whatever, you could buy the other car or the other weapon. It could have alleviated that bottleneck and that problem. But you don't have control over that. You just do the best you can do. These are ballpoint pen sketches, also from starter engines. More sketches, starter engines. Actually, it's a couple of DVD cars there. This is a Hot Wheel. This is my Hot Wheel. I never liked that name though, right? I mean, I get it, right? It's a semi-truck chassis, right? It's psycho because, right, there's no body, the guy can't see, right? But it is, I didn't like it because when you read it, right, I know it's semi-truck chassis, but it's semi-psycho.
Yep, semi-psycho.
Semi-psycho. You can be all in, right? Full psycho, or semi-psycho, which just sounded so pathetic. I was really, really upset with that. But, I mean, psycho semi, that would have been better, but semi-psycho. Again, no control. Another example, line drawing, little matte surface rendering, and then little Photoshop rendering. These are, okay, now we're switching to liftoff. So, liftoff, and what's fun, what I like to do a lot, and I'm really, really in the process. And so I like to reinvent how I do things, how I design things. I like sort of infinite range of style. And I don't like to spend a long time developing one personal style. It's just, I'm not really that interested. What I like to do, though, is I like to reinvent it over and over and over and over again. So a lot of that's based on research, a lot of it's based on nature, which has sort of infinite, crazy things to reference. And so these are all based on ants, but they're little flying ships. They're little graphite sketches. These are back to a completely different style for a video game. These are pen sketches on tracing paper with a little bit of marker for Spy Hunter 2. There's a big airplane battle, so the bad guy airplane. So 3 versions for the client to pick from. This is Field Commander, video game things again. Our video game things are all that big guns and simple, simplistic. Right, you always get the same brief for all video games. The brief is, we've got this really angular, aggressive aesthetic, right? And we're thinking maybe we're going to call them the Empire. And we got these good guys, okay, and we want to do something maybe a little asymmetric, it's a little more round, slightly different configuration, and they're going to be the rebellion. And I'm like, I heard this. Right? So, Empire versus Rebellion, angular versus round, symmetrical versus asymmetrical. You get it's the same brief. And then ultimately in entertainment, albeit it's a very simple thing to understand, it's a very hard thing to achieve, which is it only needs to qualify at 2 levels. Is it badass enough? Okay? And is it cool? And those are the 2 words, no, it's actually technically 3 words, but those are the descriptive qualifiers for good versus better versus best concept design for entertainment. Same for games, same for movies, right? Because it's all about spectacle in a lot of cases, especially when you're doing design and you're working with a visual effects team and you're trying to amp it up and you're trying to take it up to the next notch every single time you do a show. So it's not, at one level it's not silly, it's what is expected. And it's not actually easy to achieve, even though it's very easy to understand that it needs to be badass and cool. But what is badass and cool, right? That's the challenge. I recolored this one a little bit for the reprint. And so little technical line drawing on the side, reflections in the water, distorted water, that sort of thing that allows me to figure out reflections here and do a little Photoshop. That was actually my first big Photoshop project. That took like 30 hours. Right? Ridiculous. Right? I grind it out. I was running, got to use tabs and do all these reflections and try to figure it out on my own. And now it's, that's significantly faster. That's Photoshop as well. But I didn't know any 3D stuff at this point. I was actually trying to stay way away from 3D because we always used to call it 3D curse. Because we would see our friends pick up 3D and try to generate some interesting ideas, and they just get